Okay, maybe I'm not so great at holding a beat, but let me tell you about a game which does.
Beatbuddy, Tales of the Guardian is a 2D music rhythm puzzle indie game developed by Threaks and released on Steam in 2013. Beatbuddy is a game based on really one main theme or concept: music. The whole game revolves around music, which by itself is pretty awesome, considering the last music-based game I played was probably Guitar Hero. Generally, the puzzles are supposed to be solved at the beat of the music. For example, one puzzle you need to dash through bubbles which are only vulnerable for a split second during the zone song. I picked up my copy of Beatbuddy from an indie Humble Bundle from a long time ago. In a way, it feels like I'm making a full circle of reviews because Beatbuddy was one of the first games that I finished trying to get through my backlog of Steam games I had accumulated, because it was part of what started my writing of Steam reviews and brought me here to trying to make video reviews. We're going to cover something different in this review. We're going to talk about the music style in Beatbuddy. People definitely don't ask me my opinion on music because I really don't analyze it. Well, at least I don't analyze it the same way that I analyze video games. I'm pretty simple. I either like, dislike, or just don't listen to a song. That being said, I do know the basic genres: classical, rap, country, hip-hop, pop. You get the idea. The basic genres that you see on Spotify or Pandora. So what kind of music is Beatbuddy? Off the top of my head, I would compare it to the music that I've heard on Monster Cat and the house remixes I've heard on OC Remix. Because I won't pretend to know much about this topic, let's have a simple search for musical genres. Okay, I was not ready to dive into this project. Holy crap, there's a lot of different genres I didn't even know. It's just subgenres of subgenres. This is crazy. It seems that Beatbuddy's music is part of a genre called electric swing, and seems to be a subgenre of house and dance music. I can tell you this much for sure: I wouldn't be able to listen to the song and say, "Oh, that's electric swing music," or "Oh, that's house music," because just looking up these genres has left me more confused. After this review is finished, I'll go and listen to my rock music and wonder what I'm listening to and what I'm even doing with my life. Anyway, what's important is for you to decide if you like this style of music, because you're going to hear a lot of it. If you like it, your chances of enjoying the game will increase, since you really shouldn't play this game without listening to music, because, you know, the music is the key to the puzzles in the game. Actually, there isn't any way to play the game without music. I mean, it makes sense that it's not an option, but most games give you that option. The story is very basic. You are the character Beatbuddy. You've been awakened from slumber in order to save the land of Symphonia. Oh, excuse me, I meant to call it by its preferred name.
Here on Symphonia, we are sustained by our harmony.
Symphonia!
Music.
That's the voice of the narrator. Originally, there was an opening video, but it seems that he has been downgraded to sticky notes. I kind of feel bad for him. On that note, none of the other characters speak. Instead, they're represented by somebody beatboxing. So, if I was to follow suit... Some people refer to this game as being a platformer. I don't quite agree with putting Beatbuddy into that category. I guess it does have platforms, but the game takes place underwater or in zero gravity. So you're not really jumping on platforms. I thought platformers were games where you jump on platforms, which is why they are called platformers. Oh well, enough genre semantics. The central mechanic in Beatbuddy is puzzles. I don't want to spoil the puzzles in the game, so I'll be keeping this part as brief as possible. But to give you an example of some of the introduction puzzles, you learn that you can bounce off the beat drum to break through colonies of snails. Later you bounce off mirror-type things to break snails. Then the complexity just keeps on stacking itself. Beat drum, mirror, 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 snails. beat drum mirror snails, you get the idea. Some of the puzzles require precise timing. I've read a number of reviews on Steam talking about how the timing of the game and the music hasn't been absolutely perfect. And yeah, that stuff does happen occasionally, although the puzzles aren't that challenging to the point where it's going to break the game if it's not perfectly timed. It might be annoying, but you can get by it, and generally, the music syncs up pretty well to the gameplay. Actually, while I was playing the game and switching between windows, I accidentally triggered a glitch that prevented the music from progressing, which was definitely annoying, but after restarting the game, everything worked fine again. Eventually, you'll unlock a beet buggy. Actually, what it's called is the bubble buggy, but really, don't you think beet buggy sounds much better? I do. The vehicle moves with the music. You also have a dash, which allows you to dash with the music. See the theme we have going yet? There are two types of combat in Beatbuddy. While you're playing as Beatbuddy and while you're playing as the Bubble Buggy, aka Beet Buggy. I'm starting to understand why there's a difference between those. As a reviewer, I'm going to go back to Bubble Buggy because then I won't get them mixed up. When you're playing as Beatbuddy, you have a basic set of attack animations. You can also dash and attack very quickly. You'll learn more about how to do this later in the game. While playing as the Bubble Buggy, you get a gun that shoots. You have a few seconds until the gun overheats, and then you can't use it. After the gun cools down, you're able to use it again. The challenge comes from lack of movement of the gun. It's stuck in the same direction that it's facing the entire time. However, the Bubble Buggy is able to change direction that it's facing later on in the game, and then you learn how to get through puzzles in that way. That's a hint for you. Normally I don't talk about the controls in games, or at least not the different options for controls, but Beatbuddy supports controller, mouse, and keyboard controls, respectively. On the computer, I preferred to use the mouse over the keyboard controls, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the game would feel great with a controller. Again, for those of you that don't know, I've somehow managed to play this long without ever getting a USB controller. There's not much left to talk about the game, unless you want to hear my whinings about why I haven't had time to unlock all the extras or complete the game in under 3 hours. I mean, I could do it, but I'm slowly coming to grips that I don't have time to get all the achievements in all the games that I own. Who am I? What am I doing? Excuse me while I contemplate my life's purpose. Bird dubstep. Met a Joe Barbaro. It's the friend that always gets us into trouble, and as people grow older, some grow out of it, others just keep getting into trouble on a larger scale.